If you grew up in the 80s, you might remember the term latchkey kids. If you had working parents, maybe you were one.
Yeah, I was a total latchkey kid.
Philippa Foot and her sister Marion were like the 1920s version of latchkey kids, except with an aristocratic twist. Benjamin Lipscomb, professor of philosophy at Houghton University, says Foot didn't see much of her parents.
It's very distant from her parents in the way that somebody would be, who had nanny and then had a series of governesses.
She was born Philippa Bosanquet in 1920 and came from transatlantic privilege. Her father was a rich English nobleman, and her mother was Esther Cleveland, daughter of U.S. President Grover Cleveland. Lipscomb's book, The Women Are Up to Something, chronicles the ways that Foot and three of her contemporaries advanced the field of moral philosophy. He says Foot was raised during a time of transition in British society.
This new world where women have the vote, or at least a lot more of them do, and are beginning to be allowed to take degrees at places like Oxford.
But her family had different expectations for her. She would learn French, etiquette, fox hunting. Think Downton Abbey.
Lady Mary Crawley, I presume.
You presume, right?
Foot had no formal education at all, in fact. But she had a rare governess who herself was highly educated. She told Foot that she could pursue college. For her part, Foot was keen to get away. In a 2003 interview, she told the Harvard Review of Philosophy,
I had put in for Somerville because I had heard that it was a college that was intellectually but not socially snobby, and I was working my way out of this socially snobby background.
But Leslie Brown, an Oxford philosopher who studied under Foot in the 1960s, says that while Foot didn't like her aristocratic upbringing, she couldn't quite shake it either.
She was elegant, she dressed well, she didn't like it when other people didn't dress well. She knew about etiquette, but she said, I hate knowing about etiquette. But she did know about it, and it was quite important to her.
In 1939, Foot began her undergraduate studies at Somerville, one of Oxford's more than 30 colleges. This was just as Europe was falling into the Second World War. With so many men drafted to fight, the halls of the Oxford University system were suddenly far less crowded. Foot and her three peers, Mary Midgley, Elizabeth Anscombe, and Iris Murdoch, have garnered attention in recent years as a quartet of influential moral philosophers. But Brown, who also studied under Anscombe, warns against casting these women as feminist pioneers.
I don't think they thought of themselves as opening doors for women. And I'm not sure that I thought of them that way either. Foot, I know, didn't like being called a woman philosopher.
But Brown says Foot was very interested in supporting other women in the field.
If anyone had a problem, they would go to Foot with it. So she put herself out hugely for her students, for the college.
Foot had tremendous respect for Anscombe's work. When Anscombe's teaching position at Somerville was nearly cut, Foot put her own career on the line.
Even offering to share the job or resign herself so that Anscombe could stay on.
Foot had a much closer personal relationship with Iris Murdoch. In fact, they had a brief romance. But Brown thinks that was much ado about nothing.
People seize on it, but I think it was a matter of a week or so.
Still, it was on brand for Foot, in that it went against her aristocratic upbringing, which she continued to distance herself from her whole life. Foot died in 2010 on her 90th birthday. For Philosophy Talk, I'm Mary Catherine O'Connor.